Hi, everybody. This is our R Learning unit, which is the pinch unit that I've been talking about for Ceramics 1. I know this is going to be difficult, that I am not there to give you hands-on advice and learning, but I think you've all got some really good grounded skills, and I think we can do this with the R Learning. So we got this. Let's think positively, and let's take that positive energy and let's put it into our work. Here's a quote. I always did something I was a little not ready to do. I think that's how you grow. When there's a moment of, wow, I'm really not sure I can do this, and you push through those moments, and that's when you have a breakthrough. So this is a quote by Marissa Mayer, who is the CEO of Yahoo. I always think it's kind of a good quote for both of us, both me and you as a students, because I think this is new territory, and sometimes I think, well, maybe we are not going to be able to do this, but I think that we're going to have a good time with this, and hopefully it will kind of cure you of some of your cabin fever that you got going on. So the first thing I'm going to do is go over the learning target. Then I'm going to talk about the exercises that I want you to do in gaining ideas for your work, and then we'll finally get into creating your work. Here's the learning target for your pinch unit. For your pinch unit, I would like you to create 2 pinch projects by forming with just your fingers. That is the pinch construction technique. The second learning target is I can include at least 2 decorative techniques of my choice with my surface design. So this is really up to you. You can do more than that, but I'm asking that you do the pinch construction with at least 2 decorative techniques that we've learned. For number 3, I can make sure that my pinch artwork is not solid or doesn't contain an air pocket without proper venting. And number 4, really big one, is I can use the theme of opposites with my 2 pinch forms. So you will be creating 2 pinch forms with the theme of opposites. So let's take a look at some images that explore opposites. And these are not necessarily ceramic pieces, but it can give you ideas of themes, and by just thinking about those art elements and thinking about what are opposites or contrasts. So if we take a look at these 2 forms, we see one is very organic and one is very geometric. For this one, this kind of plays around with opposites and textures, and also the way that space is used. So solid, closed forms, and the nail part, which is very open and very dynamically using the space. For this one, we see that we've got a sort of an interesting contrast in what's going on the inside versus the smooth, kind of polished outside. Here we have example that has color, which is warm colors versus cool colors. And we really can't think too much about color, even though I wanted to show you this one, because we may not get to the glazing part of this unit. So here's another one that has some interesting concepts of warm versus cool, and kind of scary versus almost scientific looking renderings. It's kind of an interesting one to explore. This one is contrasting night and day, and summer and maybe winter by looking at the tree. Again, don't rely on color to help you create your opposites, because we may not get to that step for glazing. This one, we see the ocean contrasted with the sky. This one has a really interesting contrast of earth and organics versus what we are doing in terms of polluting our environment and human-made work and pollution. This is another one, kind of the opposition of city versus nature. This one, fire and water. This is just kind of an interesting one, which is kind of like infinite time and then time running out. This one is an interesting one, dealing with something that looks like lungs, and one is full of green leaves and a tree in summer, and the other one is sort of a winter tree. Here's also some common opposite words that might get you thinking about themes or concepts for your pinch unit. There's some more words to take a look at. So if you want to go back through this PowerPoint and freeze frame and look at some of these, again, could get you some really great ideas for opposite. So now let's look at some images of pinch so that you can get your ideas that it's not just, pinching a bowl, but you can pinch really interesting forms with your work. And think about integrating your two decorative techniques in with your forms. So here's some examples of pinch projects. So if we look at this one is part coil, and then the bottom part is pinch. And you can do that if you want to. You can mix techniques, but we need to have one definite example that you have done pinching. This one is a pinch form that has a lot of applique and stamping added to it. This is a stacked set of 3 pinch forms, really kind of using some interesting textural look to the outside of the piece where the inside of the piece is very smooth. These are really interesting where they've got almost like an opposite pop of color, and then the outside is black and white. So you get the surprise on the inside, which is a highly colorful inside, and then this black and white, very graphic outside design. But remember, you can't rely too much upon color. Here's another pinch form. This one is an interesting pinch form, especially with the way that the texture is used. There's some really simple looking pinch forms with applique design. This one is a little whimsical planter. I like its kind of interesting use of texture and that it has some comedy in it. And so think about how perhaps you could use comedy in opposites. If you want to, you can even go and do a vertical piece, something that hangs from a ceiling or hangs from a wall. This is a bunch of little pinch bowls that have a hole through the bottom of it, and then you string a string through it, and then you've got a series of bells. These are also pinch constructions, and you can see that they've got a hollow body, which would require venting, but they are, nicely done, smooth. You get the concept. They don't exactly look like an elephant and a hedgehog, but you kind of get that feeling. They're a little bit exaggerated in their proportions. This is a beautifully done pinch bowl, very organic looking. This is very close to what we would have done if we were not doing our learning, which was a sphere that we would enclose with tiny beads. Because we don't have any pre-fired tiny beads, you could still do something like this, just make a hollow sphere that's kind of cool to look at on all sides. And again, some interesting look to the excising and then to the smooth flat surface on the top. This really works well as a series where these are highly textured on the outside and very smooth on the inside. And I like how that opening is not just right in the middle of the piece, but it's moved over to the edge. You can even challenge yourself and do something that is functional, like this little pinch teapot. This could be pinched in with 2 bowls put together and then molded, and then later applique on the handle and the feet and the spout. Here's some other whimsical little pinch forms. I like these. This is another series of pinch forms. This is done with the Sgraffito technique, which my Ceramics 2 class was doing prior to leaving. But sometimes in working in a series, you can get some interesting effects. But how could you create opposites with this type of look? So, are you ready to get pinching? To begin pinching, we need to start collecting images so that you go out there, you pick images, you submit them into a Google Class assignment that I will put on Google Classroom so that I know that you know what a pinch form should look like. So you need to find 10 images of ceramic pinch artworks. After you collect those 10 coiling images, you're going to start sketching out your concepts for the opposites. So if you take a look at this little step-by-step, number one is you're going to curate or find 10 images of coil pots. For number two, you're going to create your sketches of your ideas. You're going to take a picture of your sketch and you're going to turn this into Google Classroom, just like you would have turned it into me. And number three, once I give you the okay on your sketch, you're going to create your pinch construction. And I will be putting a demo video on Google Classroom for you for this project. So my expectations for e-learning are the following. I'm expecting you to work on your projects from 20 to 35 minutes per day, depending on the content. Sometimes you're going to have art criticism exercises, sometimes you're going to have hands-on work. You should be checking your Google Classroom on a daily basis. If you have any questions, please reach out to me for help. You can do this with email, and then I'm trying to plan on 2 daily Zoom check-in meetings, which are voluntary. So I have one scheduled for 10:30 or 10 to 10:30, and then I'm planning on having one around 2:30 to 3. So, if one doesn't work for you, you can always catch the other one, and then I'll summarize what we did on a daily basis with a little video. Number 4, you will be taking pictures of your sketches and your work in progress and submitting those pictures in Google Classroom assignments where I can give you feedback. And finally, we may or may not get to firing and glazing of this work. We'll just have to wait and see. And if I can at all possible, if we don't go back, I would like you to turn your work in and I will come in the summer and I will fire your work. So that is, in a nutshell, what we're going to do for our pinch unit. So check out Google Classroom and look for my upcoming pinch demo video that I'll be placing on there. Have a good day. Bye.